Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a good Friday morning. Roxanne, we are getting a bit of a drizzle as well. It is time for a new series. We're starting this morning in this Bible study. We are, I'm sure if you saw the welcome page, the splash page, there were several suggestions for what we study next. But what we are going to go with is here's how this works. I'm just going to lay this out here real quick. I asked for suggestions. There were several suggestions, so thank you to people who suggested stuff. But of those suggestions, several were things that we have done recently in various things. Either the midweek study on Thursday. One was a thing that I've done on the men's study on Saturday. So because of the split nature of the Bible studies that we do, it's a little bit hard to find stuff that I haven't done recently that's going to be overlap for some people. So I went with the one that has been the longest since we've done, which is this topic that I'll introduce in just a minute. So we are going to start a new series. We are going to do the introduction today, and then I think it'll be 4 or 5 different lessons after that, and then we will continue on. So thanks for being here this morning with us. I want to start with this concept of walking with God. As you think about our Christianity, we have been on Sunday nights, been doing a series on what I've dubbed tangible Christianity, qualities that make our Christianity effective in the world, right? That have a real meaningful difference in the world. From 2 Peter 1, I want to start this morning with the idea of walking with God, and we'll read a couple of passages. 1 Thessalonians 2:11 through 12. For you know how, like a father with his children, we exhorted each one of you and encouraged you and charged you to walk in a manner worthy of God, who calls you to his own kingdom and glory. We'll read another passage, 1 John 2:5 and 6. By this we may know that we are in him. Whoever says he abides in him ought to walk in the same way which he walked. A couple of things about this word walk, right? As we think about the word walk, it implies a continual motion or journey, right? It's something that we're continually doing. We're going from one place to another, and we're making forward progress on that. And there's a number of different ways you could conceptualize this. We're going from our old life to a new life. We're going from where we are now. Ultimately, our ultimate destination is heaven with God. We're going from a particular way of living to a better way of living. There's a number of ways to conceptualize the journey of Christianity. But walking is this idea that we are making continual progress, right? We are continuing to move forward into this whatever state we want to end up in, be heaven or a relationship with God or a better way of living, or being, and what does he say in the text that we read? Walk in the same way which he walked, walk in a manner worthy of God. Ultimately, the goal is to become more like Jesus, to be the kind of person that is worthy of God, which is an interesting concept. So when we think about this idea of walking, it says something about the way we act all the time, because this is a continual motion. It's not something we do and then stop and then do and then stop. It is a continual thing. That says something about how our relationship with God should be, the kinds of things we do on a daily basis. And I've touched on this a bit in the Sunday evening sermons in Tangible Christianity, but I want to have a different sort of focus for this particular series. Let's read another passage in 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 27. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run? This one we're doing running instead of walking. But only one receives the prize, so run that you may obtain it. Now, what's the prize? The prize, of course, is heaven. The prize is that forgiveness and salvation in eternity. So what is the analogy that he's using here? That we're again having this continual motion towards a goal. We'll keep reading. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath. That is the thing you get at the end of the race. But we an imperishable, so I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beating the air. This idea of the athlete exercising self-control in all things. They have a goal in mind. They know how they need to get there. And so there's purpose, right? There's intentionality. There's self-control as they exercise and train and prepare. It's not just mindless. It's not random. The exercises that they do the exercises that will help them get better at running so they can win the race, right? We understand that. And he's making this analogy to Christianity. We have a goal in mind. We are on a journey to get to that goal, whatever the goal happens to be. So the things that we do on a daily basis, the way that we live, the ways that we prepare, the things that we do spiritually and in physically too, should be in service to that goal. Prepare us, make us better, help us in our walk, right? And so he says that at the end. But I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. So two things about this text. There's the idea of the self-control, right? And then there are three things really. Self-control, exercise, and then the idea of self-discipline. And really, what's implied by the word discipline? I've said this before. I really like this phrase. No, I'm going to save that for later. The word discipline, what's implied by that? That it's a difficult thing. It's not something that just happens by accident. It is something that you have to discipline. You have to discipline in order to have discipline. When he says, I discipline my body, when he does things he doesn't like, he changes it. He disincentivizes it. He's trying to orchestrate his life in such a way that he's going to do the things he wants to do. And it's interesting, it goes back to the text in Romans 7 that's so hard to read, right? The things that I want to do or the things I don't do, and the things that I don't want to do, those are the things that I'm doing, right? This is why he has this discipline or this self-control. The word self-control says a lot too, that I want to do other things. I know they're not beneficial to my race, to the walk, to the journey. And so I have to control the desire to do those other things and stay on track, stay on focus, right? So this series, 4 or 5 lessons, we're going to talk about some daily disciplines, things that we can do anytime, any day, every day, but things that take effort, things that we are not naturally inclined to do, things that we don't maybe naturally want to do, that will take self-control and discipline, that will take some amount of effort to do, but they're things that we can do every day. And I really want to emphasize this idea of the everyday aspect of these things. Things that are not necessarily hard, they're not easy either, they're not natural, things that we have to think about and be purposeful and intentional to do, but things that you can do every day by yourself. And I want to focus again on that idea of individually. When we think about walking with God, okay, well, I am walking with God with you, and I see I have some viewers, and I'm glad that you're here, and we're walking with God together, but at the end of the day, you know, we spend, 20 minutes here in this video, maybe I'm with people at work, maybe I have, of course, time with my family, but really, when it comes down to it, I'm walking with God by myself. If all of you left, presumably I would hopefully still be walking with God. If I left, if I quit, presumably you would still be walking with God. These things that we're going to talk about in this series are disciplines, things that help us spiritually in our walk with God, in our journey with Him, that can be done individually and really should be done individually by yourself every day. Again, the daily walk with God. And again, we're thinking about the point of this. And actually, I'll put these texts back up there. These texts here. When we think about nope, that was not the right text. This text. The beginning there. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? When he talks about this discipline and self-control, he's talking about things that he does, or a runner does, of course the analogy to a runner, things that a runner does to make himself better at achieving the goal, whatever it happens to be. In our case, we're thinking about these daily spiritual disciplines. The goal is what? What's the goal? Well, we can go back to these other texts. The goal is to walk in a manner worthy of God. The goal is to walk in the same way in which He walked, He being Jesus. So if that's the goal, those are the things that I'm trying to do. Those are the things that I'm trying to reach. And of course, ultimately the goal being heaven. These are things that we can practice that will be rewarding, but ultimately will be a little bit difficult. And especially if you haven't been doing these things in your life, getting started is going to be a little bit difficult. And we'll talk about how we can do that. So let's wrap this up with this idea in the Sermon on the Mount. Daily disciplines, things that Jesus talks about that we should be doing by ourselves that have a spiritual reward or benefit. We'll begin in Matthew 6, 3 through 4. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know that what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Matthew 6, 6. But when you pray, go into the room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. 6, 17 through 18. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. These things, again, have a personal aspect to them. There's a lot of our Christianity that we do with other people, and I worry, because this is the way that we are as people. I'm a little bit worried when we think about our Christianity, we only think about the things that we do at the church building, right? That when we talk about being a Christian, it means I go to Bible studies, I go to church, I worship, maybe I go to church activities, I go to Bible class. Maybe I even do some volunteering stuff like with Family Promise, but again, that's with other people. And I'm a little, and I'm concerned, I'm always concerned about this, but in the pandemic especially, I'm concerned about this, is that we reorient our view of Christianity as a group activity, which it is, but first it's an individual activity. And that's what I think what Jesus is driving at here, right? When you look at these things that he's saying, these are spiritual things that we need to do, that he says, don't do them in public, or do them in public, but don't do them around other people. Do them in secret. Do them between you and God. Do them just with your heavenly Father. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. So these daily disciplines that we're going to talk about, these things that we're going to talk about in this series, not all things that we do as a Christian are private. I understand that. Worship, of course, we do together. And even some of the things we're going to talk about, we do together. But the emphasis of this study, and this is the introductory lesson, if you can't tell, we're not going to talk about any of them today. This study is about the things that we can do on a daily basis that help us become closer to God, help us in our walk with God, that we can do by ourselves and should be doing every day. And we're going to talk about, let's just get a list real quick. The loose list, we're going to talk about meditation, prayer, fasting, generosity, because Jesus talks about giving, right, as a thing that we do in secret. Maybe one or two more, at least those four, but maybe one or two more. And so we think about meditation, fasting, prayer, giving. I have a couple others that I'm thinking about that I haven't decided on yet. These are things that I think if you haven't been doing on a daily basis, require what? Self-control and discipline. Isn't that what he talks about in the text about the runner? Right? Runners, they discipline themselves, they have self-control, they exercise. These are spiritual exercises. Meditating, fasting, praying, giving, a couple others that we'll talk about. Things that we should be doing every day that help us in our walk with God, help us grow closer to him. And so my hope in this study is, as we go through these things, my hope is that these will help you, this study will help you be better able to do these things every day. Maybe we'll start small and we'll build our way up like an athlete. We're going to start small and build our way up. I don't know where you are. Maybe you do these things all the time and this will just be reinforcement and encouragement for you to continue. That's fine too. But we'll talk about some ways that we can facilitate these in our lives and ways that we can do these, I think, to be more effective in our walk with God. So that is it for today. We'll pick it up next week we'll start with meditation on Tuesday, and then we'll go from there. Let's end in a prayer, and then we'll conclude. God, as we think about our walk with you, I ask you please give those who are watching this strength today to be closer to you and to do things that would help them in their spiritual journey. I know that you are with us all the time, and I'm so thankful for your presence. I'm thankful for the blessings and the help that you give us. I'm thankful for the blessing of your family and for your word. I ask you, please help us to live out to the principles that we learn about, to be examples to those around us, to reach out to the lost. Ultimately, God, I ask that you help us to be close to you so that we can be with you in heaven forever. There's a number of people that are struggling right now with various things. We especially pray at this time for Homer and his family, as several have passed away that he knows recently. Please give him strength and his family strength. There's a number of people who are recovering from various illnesses and diseases. Please give them strength as well. We love you, and we know that you can help and that you help us every day. Thank you for your son. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. That is it for us today. Like I say, we'll pick this up on Tuesday with, we'll talk about meditation. And I think that's it, guys. I have to ramble for 20 seconds at the end in case anybody has anything they want to put in chat after the prayer. People are much more likely to comment after the prayer. I don't know why they don't comment during the lesson, but so here I am rambling and giving you guys time. I'm going to give you guys 5 more seconds if anybody has anything they want to chat, put in chat. And that's it. Have a good rest of your Friday. Have a good weekend. We'll see some of you for worship. Some of you, I hope, will be at worship wherever you are. Wherever you are, there's somewhere to worship. And we'll be worshiping together. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye.